Over the north side of Chicago.
Pretty city.
Well, Russia is opting out of the International Space Station. The country's newly appointed space chief says that'll happen after 2024, so Russia can focus on building its own space structure.
He says Russia will fulfill its obligations at the space station before it leaves the project. So what does this all mean for the space station? University of Chicago space historian Jordan Bim, there he is, joining us now to talk a little bit more about this major announcement. So tell us, first off, what does it mean for the ISS?
It means a period of uncertainty where we're not exactly sure what is going to happen. So NASA and Russia had planned to maintain the ISS until 2030. And with today's announcement that Russia will leave sometime after 2024, it means that NASA is going to have to decide if they're going to wrap things up on the ISS earlier than planned, or if they're going to have to decide if they can maintain the space station without one of its two key partners. And that's going to come down to what does leaving the space station actually look like? So what will Russia decide to do? They have a range of options, everything from physically detaching their modules, which I think is unlikely but possible, to maybe trying to sell the use of those modules to NASA in the US, which is problematic because of sanctions, to doing something very nice and simply just evacuating and leaving the lights on. So whichever one of those options or some other options they choose will weigh into NASA's risk assessment of how dangerous it is to keep operating a space station without one of its two key partners that's been there for 22 years.
Well, as a space historian, I mean, you know how the International Space Station came to be. It was, after the Cold War was winding down, and it became this symbol of hope that no matter what was going on in U.S.-Russia relations, things were continuing to cooperate in space.
Exactly. It was this symbol of the post-Cold War moment, this idea that if we can cooperate in space, then perhaps we can cooperate on Earth. And when the first crew arrived at the ISS in November 2000, this was the wide sentiment. But over the last few years, and especially in the last few months after the start of the war in Ukraine, the ISS has started looking less like the future and more like an artifact of this past moment, which we are no longer in, sadly. So while today may be sort of one sad, small step towards this declining U.S.-Russian relationship in space, it could possibly signal a giant leap in future space station orbital technologies.
So interesting. Okay, so one of the things that Russia has said is that they're looking at building its own independent space station. Do we know anything about the pathway to that plan or what that would look like?
I'm highly skeptical that that is what's going to happen. And the reason for that is that the Russian space program has been coasting off of very reliable technology they developed in the 1960s, but they haven't really done the work of taking that to the next level. So I don't see the pieces in place for them to have their own independent space structure, space station. I see it more likely that they will either get out of the game entirely or perhaps partner with China that has a new space station in orbit. And they just added a new science module to that laboratory just last week.
And it's worth noting that the U.S. has kind of been at the forefront of encouraging private companies to venture into space.
This is where I see an opportunity in this crisis, which is for the new commercial space companies that have been working on orbital space station design. So we know all about the tourism angle to this. We've seen some celebrities go to space recently, but some of these companies, like, for example, Blue Origin and Axiom Space, have been working on orbital space station concepts. Now, none of these will be ready to replace the ISS, but Axiom Space is planning to have a module that they are hoping to attach to the ISS in 2024. Perhaps that could be a piece of the puzzle of maintaining the station without Russia. But these stations take a long time to develop, so I don't think that there'll be one independent ready to go by 2024.
All right, a lot to keep track of. Jordan Bim joining us today. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Lourdes.
Talk soon.
Thanks, Jordan.